Mr. Frantic, how do you think you would define, or how would you define integrity?
Integrity to me is a set of principles, like honest principles about oneself, like someone who is upstanding, honest, and again has like a hard set of principles.
Do you think you're violating your own integrity whenever you show mercy?
I don't think so. I think that if you have honest set of principles, and forgiveness is one of those principles within your own integrity of knowing people are human, knowing people make mistakes. I think that showing forgiveness is not a shortcoming of your principles. I think it's a kind of a foundational aspect to be so honest and sincere with others to know that you can forgive them.
What do you think the consequences are for keeping or not keeping your integrity?
Authenticity in our world is so few and far between. So I think if you are someone whose integrity changes often, or one day has this integrity or these principles and then switches them and becomes dishonest, or goes with the way of the world or the way of a friend group, for example, I think people read that pretty quickly and pretty easily, of knowing that you are one who is kind of wishy-washy, I guess is the best way of saying it.
And in your opinion, if we have a strong sense of integrity, will that bring us closer to God?
Yes, because I think the principles, the core, the truth, the honesty, all the rest of those things, we kind of have the playbook written out for us, where it's biblical principles, biblical honesty, biblical integrity, and that should just flow from your mouth and from your actions. And I think that keeping those principles and standards with the playbook of the Bible should be of number one importance.
Do you think having any sense of integrity can affect someone's mental health, and if so, how would it affect that person's health?
I think it comes back to that question you just asked about someone who changes their principles or integrity back and forth. I think that those who do not know or have a foundation or a firm belief or integrity in something are often kind of a ship without a rudder, left in the storms of life, where one day they might feel a certain way about something, the next day they might change, and in that instance or in those instances, I think it can definitely affect the mental health or the overall mental health of a person.
At what point do you think the line is drawn between looking to the future and then catastrophizing a situation?
That's a deep one. I think it comes to, again, kind of knowing that we are not in control of things, and those foundations and principles set up biblically, they spell it out pretty succinctly when it says, who has ultimate author and control, who's writing the story. So I think that you can definitely do what you can do as a person to put yourself in places, in better situations, in the place where God wants you to be, if you listen and hear what he has to say for you, without the fear of what could be in front of you and the many years ahead. So there's like a healthy medium, I would say.
Do you think news can be presented without any media bias?
I do. I think that the bias comes from those people's opinions, or you can just simply say there was a car accident between two individuals, and that's just the facts. Like, you can just hit the facts, and then what people do after the fact obviously changes the story.
How do you think an individual's own self-esteem surrounding their integrity affects their outlook onto other people's integrity? Sorry.
I think the stronger and more foundationally someone has their own integrity set in, and biblically, of course, I think it leads to that fine line between being confident in oneself and using it as a sense of judgment, like they don't have the integrity that I have because my own personal biases. So I think that runs a very fine line of, there is confidence in oneself, confidence in your morals, your integrity, who you are, versus this is who I am and everyone has to be that way. So I think that as long as you cite it back and source it back to that original biblical foundation, then it should be a lot easier than just projecting your maybe biblical, maybe not biblical integrity onto others.
How important would you say is integrity to our overall morality?
I think they're kind of hand in hand, again, with the biblical aspect as it is, and that path and the narrow path that God has set for us. I think that the wider your integrity is, or the more things that you don't have good foundation in, the more you will flip-flop and go back and forth and kind of get swayed by the world. So I think that the foundation and sticking with that foundation and keeping with your integrity lines up with having the morals and standards that are already outlined for us.
Well, thank you. That's it.
Oh, you're welcome.